side body work, and we're going to talk about breaking down down dog. I'm sorry guys. Let's try this again. Okay, hopefully without feedback. We're going to talk about breaking down down dog because it's one of the sort of fundamental postures in yoga practice. It's a great posture, opens shoulders, hips. You're doing it right, hamstrings, calves, lower legs. Right, so most people come into their down dog and they're either really tight in the shoulders, they don't have this range of motion through the shoulder girdle, so they can't drop the chest in to the shoulder girdle and use lats while still bringing the arms up, which is hard. Let's just try that. Hands out in front flat like they're on the floor. Pull your shoulder blades down the back. So that means the shoulder blades come down the side of the body and you engage the lats and serratus, all the muscles in the side of the body. Soft bend in your knees, feet hip width apart, low belly in, and try to start to bring the arms up, keeping your shoulders down. It starts to get difficult to hold this muscle, right, as the arms come up. It's the same thing that's happening in your down dog. When you're either on hands and knees, here maybe, or even in plank, it may be easy to drop the chest down into your shoulder girdle to do serratus push-ups or whatever. But if you stay drop down, stay in the lats, and then try to push back to down dog, it's just like raising the hands up. As you get further and further back, it's hard to stay plugged in. And sometimes you'll see this shape, right? Okay, so we want to work on, what are we going to work on to keep shoulders down? Shoulder opening, right? Got to do some stretches in the shoulders to start your prep for down dog. The other problem most people have in their down dog is the back of the hips are too tight, or the hamstrings and lower legs are too tight. So they'll try to come into down dog, and you'll see the back of the hip joints close and pull up, like this, which, since the spine is attached to the back of the ribs, back of the pelvis, pulls the ribs up, puts them in the neck, shoulders, hips. This is not a good way to perform your down dog. You want to be able to let the pelvic bowl drop down, sitting bones apart, backing up. Let your chest drop down into your shoulder girdle. Find a chest stretch, shoulder stretch, and then when you get better at it, you'll start bringing the ribs back into the body a little. But until you can find this stretch, you only need to worry about hyperextending the shoulder. Okay, so we're going to start out trying down dog and doing what I call baby down dog. Okay, that is not a good sound. All right. Okay, after we kind of try down dog, then we'll go into some prep exercises. So, let's come down onto knees and hands. Hands flat on the mat, blocks are kind of out of the way for right now. All right, from here, try to pull your shoulders down the body, meaning away from the ears, engaging the lats, the serratus, some of the other muscles that come down the sides of the body. And then drop your chest down into the shoulder girdle. Okay, for some people that may not be possible, and then you want to bring them probably to the elbows. Okay, because a lot of people, what they'll start doing is they'll bend and straighten the arms, wondering why the shoulder plates are melded and they can't move. Right, so you tell them to do serratus push-ups, and they're bending and straightening arms, wondering, well, I can't tap into those muscles, right? Put the elbows, forearms on the ground, and also put the knees wide to help open the front of the hips a little. Now, they might be able to drop the rib cage down. They might be able to drop the pelvic bowl down, which helps drop the rib cage without crunching your back. You're not using the muscles in the back to pull. You're just sort of letting that hang, and then maybe they can start to open up the muscles in the back, shoulders, chest enough to have some mobility and move through that range of motion. Okay, so one really good exercise to start warming up before you do down dog is just come on to elbows and knees. You can start by putting knees hip width, elbows about shoulder width apart, and then if you're really tight in the shoulders and they literally have no mobility, they're locked here, open the elbows wider. Even wider, give your chest more room, okay? Now, in order to drop the chest down, hips can't be here, right? You can't have the back of the hips closed trying to protect hamstrings from the stretch pulling up, because it's going to pull your ribs up and put you in your neck. So you can maybe open the knees a little wider. See if they can start letting the hips release at least to neutral, if not maybe hanging below center. Looks like my low back is flexed, but done a lot of work to open the shoulders. I'm literally totally released and hanging right through there. Okay, then try to let the ribs kind of hang down, the chest kind of hang down, and your shoulder plates will start to come together on the back. Roll the shoulders back. Okay, now you can do the serratus push-ups. Why don't you guys go back and forth, start warming up for the sequence. You can do the serratus push-ups on the elbows and knees like this, from the traps, the muscles that run from the base of the skull down the back of the shoulders and kind of teardrop in the middle of the back, up here. Okay, back and forth, which is not what we want. Or you can do it by drawing shoulders down, engage the lat, the serratus here, and move forward and back with the shoulder blades from under here. Okay, so what you want to make sure when you're on the mat is that you can find shoulders away from the ears. Okay, so another good exercise to start with. All right, guys, check it out. Have everybody start out maybe by trying to find mobility that way. Maybe pulling the shoulders back is hard. So while on the elbows, bring your shoulders up to your ears. Let that muscle in the neck get really short. Then pull shoulders back away from the ears. Now you've maybe engaged those muscles in the side of the body. Make sure hips didn't engage too. Keep the hips hanging. We're just trying to play with upper body. Bring shoulders up to the ears. Bring the shoulders down the body. Now drop the chest down a little, keeping the lats engaged. Okay, now while you're down here, bring shoulders up to the ears. Drag shoulders back, feel the lats engaged. Press back up from the lats. Another good way to cue this. One of my favorite instructors on Yoga Love Dice is using, Dice Gita Klein, I think is how you say his name, using a cue from, what Matt's saying right now, always gives some credit. It says roll your inner shoulder to your outer shoulder when you're down dog. That makes a lot of sense if you already know what they're talking about. It's kind of trying to open across the collarbone. In order to get somebody to feel the muscles, it's a good cue if you already get it. If you don't already get it, it's kind of, what is my inner shoulder, what is my outer shoulder, and what's that mean, right? To help somebody feel that, push down through the hands a little bit on the mat. Really spread out the hands. Surya-hasta means spreading the hands, sun hands, spread the metacarpals and the hands on your mat. Push into the hands a little bit, pressing down into the mat, and feel like the hands are pulling the mat apart to get a spreading feeling across the collarbone. When you push down into the hands, it supports collarbone, chest, neck, everything from the shoulders up. When you pull the hands apart, hopefully they can start to feel a spreading across there. If you add also pulling the elbows apart, now hopefully they're getting a width, a spreading across neck and shoulders, both above and below the shoulders. Keeping that width, the hand spreading, the elbow spreading, try to drop down, bringing shoulder blades together without going into the neck. And then press through hands first to bring collarbone up, wide hands, press through elbows next to start to bring ribs up, wide elbows to engage lats. Then you can start rolling the pubic bone under a little bit, coming to a true flat back. Maybe even play with rounding, but come through to the sort of cat-cow by rolling the pubic bone under, low belly in, middle abs in, and resist the round a little bit by shoulders pulling back. Really feel your lats get challenged there. So you rounded the lower body, and it's like the lats are ending that round. Okay, then keep pulling the ribs up, drop the chin and head down without shoulders eating the ears. So one place a lot of people round is when they round, they'll pull their shoulders to the ears, trying to make space in the upper back, which is right, that's what you want, but they're doing it by bringing the scapula up instead of wide, right? So let's run through that a little bit. Okay, here we go. You're going to put the hands flat on the mat. Pull your mat apart with the hands, press down through the hands to try to feel collarbone raise up, head and neck raise up. Spread elbows apart too, feel the whole forearm on the mat. Drop the chest down, keeping hands wide, elbows wide. Bring it back up, hands first. Hands press down, spread wide. Elbows spread wide. Now ribs in the body. Now low belly rolls, pubic bone, tailbone under. Keep lats engaged, middle abs, the abs between the rib cage and pelvis where there isn't a lot of bone structure, just the lumbar spine. Those abs pull up. Shoulders still pulled back away from the ears, lats very engaged. Drop the head down, look at your own belly button. Keep rolling the hips under you, shoulders staying back. Can you make more space between the shoulder blades? Go the other way, pubic bone reaching back. Spread your low belly across, feel like your knees are spreading the mat out. Drop the pelvic bowl down, drop the chest down. Shoulders feel like they're rolling back as the chest drops down. Bring the body weight forward a little pressure in the hands to open collarbone too. Bring it back up, press your hands first. Hands wide, elbows wide, ribs in the body. Low belly in, drop tailbone, pubic bone under, middle abs lift, keep shoulders back. I'm going to cheek to the ears. Chin in, you should feel that stretch. Okay, keep chin in, drop down, keeping chin in. Try to touch the top of the head to the mat. Roll your shoulders further back. Now let your pelvic bowl hang. Try to create a neck stretch here. And now press down through the hands to bring collarbone and neck up. Keep hands wide, elbows wide. Just move through that now. Keep hands wide, elbows wide, knees wide. Bring ribs into the body so you have a neutral spine. And try to keep hips still, but move back and forth through the shoulder girdle. Come down with chest and collarbone. Keep chest and collarbone level. Bring it up. Come down with chest and collarbone. Hands wide, elbows wide. Bring it up. Knees wide. Whole core engaged. 3 more. Come down. Hands wide, elbows wide, knees wide. Bring it up. Last one. Come down. Hands wide, elbows wide, knees wide. Bring it up. Good. So come on up to the hands. Knees wide. Sit back. Walk your hands as far out in front of you as you can. You know what we call the side of the body, side body. So feel that get stretched long. Walk the hands as far away as you can. Hands on the mat, forearms off, arms off, hips reaching back for a minute. Chin in, inhale. Exhale, lower belly the socks under with the tailbone a little. And now push shoulders out of the ears so you can come forward into the shoulder girdle here. So just pull the shoulders back. Yeah, that's what you have to be able to do to successfully do your down dog. And at this angle with this deep chest and shoulder stretch, that is what's really hard for a lot of people. It's still like the serratus motion, but now it's hands came all the way up to here and I'm pulling shoulder blades down. Okay, so let's play with that. Bring the knees in, tuck the toes. We're gonna have to do some hands too. Down dog does everything, right? You're gonna pressure into the hands, feet. First, we're just gonna sit back toward the heels. Keep shoulder blades pulled down away from the ears. Hopefully these muscles are a little warmed up now. Press into the feet a little bit. Lift your heels without the hips rolling under, putting you in your neck. So stay dropped. From here, can you bend your elbows toward the mat and toward each other and drag your shoulders back? Come into a little serratus push-up here. Okay, now drop the chest back. Re-straighten arms without losing your lat. Start straightening the legs a little bit. Chin in, but keep your chest drop down into the shoulder girdle. Maybe the legs have to stay bent. If you straighten the legs and the hips automatically pull to here, now you're in the neck again, right? So keep the legs bent, keeping that shoulder opening. Bend the knees a little deeper. Bring your floating ribs back toward the thighs. Try to drop down into a shoulder stretch, chest stretch. Chin in. Okay, now if it's impossible for you to drop into the shoulder girdle here, come forward, almost like you're coming into plank, but not quite as far. Keeping the knees bent, take some weight out of the upper body, outer spiral arms, and then drop the chest down into the shoulder girdle like those serratus push-ups. Now only go back as far as you can without losing that feeling of lats and that width across collarbone. Spread out the hands, spread out the arms. Then drop chin in. You should be able to feel a little stretch in the neck and shoulders. When that stretch goes away and you're living here in your down dog, you're locking up and tightening up everything you need to be opening up to come into a better version of that posture. Eventually legs can straighten, these hamstring and hips will be open enough. Ribs can come into the body and it can look like a full post. And you may be able to do your serratus push-ups here to roll over the knees. All right, so we've got a little bit of awakening through lats and serratus just to get some movement here. Really important to do down dog right. Okay? A couple other things really important to doing down dog right. So let's wake up the side body a little more and stretch the shoulders, right? Because those need to be really integrated. And the chest. All right, what do we want to do first? Baby down dog, the big chest stretch. Okay, I'm going to go to that one first before we do. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and put your hands on the block. Or not on the blocks, I'm sorry. Put your blocks wide, almost shoulder or almost mat width apart. So a little wider than shoulder width. Remember that extra space, that width, gives you more space to drop down into the chest. Same thing with the knees. The knees are wider than hip width. You've got a little more room for the hips to roll back and forth. Okay? Now, I call this baby down dog. This doesn't exist anywhere else, so don't walk into a studio and ask somebody to teach you baby down dog. Okay, but it helps you find the stretch in the chest and shoulders. You're going to start by pulling knees back. You're going to go hip width apart. Your hands are right behind the blocks. And when you really reach the hips back, almost like thinking of a cat stretching, pushing its chest down to the floor. That's what we're going to go into, but with hands on the blocks. When you really reach the hips back and put one hand on the block, Your hips should be a little bit behind your knees, and you should be basically one straight line from the tailbone through the hands. Get that little spread out hand. Put your 3 thumb knuckles lined up on the inside of the block, index knuckle to the corner. So, knuckle, knuckle, knuckle on the inside of the block for this one, and hand strong. Okay, you're going to put one hand up at a time. It's actually even a little bit hard to bring the other hand up, right, because you're so fully stretched. And if you can keep the outer spiral in the arms so the bicep faces up, great. Most people won't be able to because that's a pretty deep stretch. Try to drop the chest down below the level of the blocks. This is a huge chest and shoulder stretch. We may not be ready for this one in general in life, not just in the sequence, and that's fine. If you're open enough here, so you can skip this and move on, if you're open enough here, even your forehead can touch the floor. If your forehead can touch the floor, be there for a minute. Roll a little forward to the front of the forehead. Reach the thumb and index finger further forward. Tip your blocks onto their front corner. If your forehead touches the floor, it kind of helps you release, but it also takes away some of the stretch. Bring the forehead back off the floor. Bring your blocks back flat. Now reach the hips back. Tip your blocks to the back corner. Try to drop the chest a little bit deeper into the floor. Drop the pelvic bowl a little bit lower. Chin in, neck is long. Breathe. Inhale. Try to fill the ribs. Exhale. Hang down into the stretch. Good. Now we're going to do a couple sort of cat-cows here. Push down through the hands. Lats wrap around. Ribs in the body. Roll the hips under. Chin in. Bring your head through like you're going to put the top of the head on the belly button. Inhale here. Spread the blocks. Spread your hands. Feel like you're spreading your hands. Spread your lats. Exhale, pubic bone back, drop chest down, drop head, neck down, chin in. Try to reach your blocks further forward. Maybe you can roll the front corner of the block. Keep hips pulling back. And then bring your blocks middle. Bring your chest back up, round it up, tailbone under, pubic bone under. Wrap lats around the ribs, bring ribs up, and then go back the other way. Pubic bone back, drop the chest all the way down below the level of your blocks. Chin in. If you can put the forehead down, put it down. If you can't, maybe put a blanket there or something else to help you release. All right, and bring one hand down at a time. You're going to feel that. Big chest stretch, big shoulder stretch. Open the knees, come down to the elbows. Drop down into your serratus. Push the mat away. Just move back and forth through that. Really easy. Round it up, tailbone under chin. Keep shoulders back a little. Bring your body weight forward. Try to keep shoulders back, tuck the chin, low belly lifting. And then sit all the way back toward the heels. Arms reaching way out in front, chin. And then bring your hands back. Maybe you can interlace fingers behind the base of the sacrum or behind the sacrum. Roll your shoulder heads forward to the mat. Sort of closing the area we were just opening. And then roll them back. Chin in, roll forward on the top of the head. Roll all the way to the crown, try to chuck the chin in a little further, stretching back, low belly lifts, shoulders pull back, and then roll back. Be careful with this next stretch. If you're not confident with it yet, you can put the elbows on the floor to support, roll forward, keep the elbows flat, shoulders away from ears, low belly in, and then roll back. Chin reaches back toward the heels, roll to the top of the head. Okay, so either way, you can add the shoulder stretch or you can have elbows flat. Roll forward, push the forehead into the mat, roll to the top of the head, all the way to the crown, chin in. My hair is a little in the way, but try to roll into the neck stretch there. You can also interlace fingers behind the head if it helps anchor the head into place. Roll into the neck stretch and then low belly. And pubic bone back, flatten it out, roll to the top of the forehead, chin reaching back a little, and then just sit all the way back. Inhale. Exhale, long. Good. Come back forward to elbows and knees. So we've got a chest stretch, little neck stretch, little shoulder stretch, and hopefully you can feel the difference between this, right, and dropping into the shoulder girdle where you want to be for your down dog. Okay, so what else do we need? That's kind of upper half, right? Got to get hips open too, and separate rib cage from the hips. Another stretch that helps open the front of the shoulders a little bit more, that also helps to separate hips from ribs. Your blocks out of the way for this one. Okay, it's going to be just to come all the way down onto the belly. Let's see what this will look like from here. which I'm so good with. You've got it screeching half the time. Okay, lay flat on your mat. Put elbows right under your shoulders. Kind of like Sphinx. Okay, and just roll your shoulders back. And then roll the shoulder heads up to your ears, forward, chin in, kind of lean forward. Feel some space in your low back. And then roll the shoulders back, keep the chin in, push down through elbows, kind of like those serratus push-ups. Go the other way, drop the chest down, roll the shoulders forward. And then roll the shoulders back, open up the chest, chin in. Okay. All right, and here's the shoulder stretch. So you're going to bring the hand straight out. Let's do, I'm doing left hand right now. Straight out to the side. Okay, so it's even with your shoulder. Your other hand's going to come back so that your forearm can support the side of your body. I want you to start by rolling the shoulder head forward and then roll it back. Just try to find that range of motion. You can put the temple of the head on the floor in front of the arm. I'm just keeping mine up so that you can see the camera. Roll the shoulder head forward, tap the front of the shoulder to the mat, and then roll the shoulder head all the way back. Okay. So turn this way so it can be seen. Just do a couple more of those. You can put the head down or hold it as long as the shoulders are on the ears. Roll the shoulder head back. Maybe put a bend in the elbow. Try to feel a stretch across the muscles in the collarbone. Then roll the shoulder head forward. Again, you can have the temple of the forehead way away, really far away and down. Let's do 3 more like that. Roll the shoulder head back. And then roll it all the way down. Try to touch your mat. Roll the shoulder head back. Roll it all the way down. Try to touch your mat. You go slow or fast as you want. Roll the shoulder head back. Roll the right shoulder head back too, both sides. Chin in a little bit. Next stretch. And roll the shoulder head forward. Stay with shoulder head forward. Then you're going to bring the other hand to the mat about chest level. Push into that hand and roll onto your hip. Roll onto your side. Okay, the top leg is going to come right behind. Is going to come right behind the bottom leg. Foot flat on the mat. You're going to use the hand, either fingers tented or hand flat, to put a little pressure into the shoulder stretch. Don't overdo it. Then you can bring the temple of the head forward and down diagonally away from that shoulder. Roll the shoulder back here and try to tip back a little bit into the stretch. So the part of this where you're really separating ribs and hips is, can you let the hips soften back without holding in between ribs and hips? Let the hip feel like it's hanging more. Alright, I'm going to turn sideways for this a little bit. I think that's what's messing up the mic. Okay, so let's roll onto the side, put the foot behind the leg. Reach through the bottom leg too, try not to let that shrink. It may help you to push through that top foot, bring the hip further under you, push through the top hand, bring the ribs further under you. Okay, that may deepen the stretch, so it may not help you, maybe too much. And try to keep the hand even with the shoulder. The more the hand drops down toward the tailbone, the less stretch you're going to have. All right, from here, start the breath. When you breathe, push into the stretching arm, push into the hand and that elbow a little bit. Try to put a soft bend in the elbow. Push your body a little out of the stretch, a little forward as you inhale. Tilt your ribs in, try to expand the rib cage. And then as you exhale, feel your ribs start to come together just softly as your diaphragm pushes air out of the lungs. And then roll back a little deeper into the stretch. Try to let your lower body be really soft. If this is easy or you want more, you can take that top leg, put it across into pigeon, or excuse me, half lotus, and let the hip literally hang open. Okay. Try to find space between ribs and hips. Try not to keep your hips tucked up and pull in against the stretch. Try to lengthen that out. It may help to tent fingers. Lift head, roll the shoulders back a little bit, and try to feel like you're pulling your rib cage up your mat, lengthening through your core. Either way, add breath. Inhale, come out of the stretch a little bit. Exhale, hang the hips back into it. Reach through the heel or inner foot of that bottom leg. One more time. Inhale, push out of the stretch a little bit. Let your ribs expand. Exhale, rock back. Good to go further. You can bring the top arm up. At this point, if your head was down, roll shoulder heads back, lift the head up. Drop the top arm back. Roll both shoulder heads back, down the back. So your scapula come together on the back, and then they try to pull down the spine together. Chin in, crown of the head reaching forward. Inhale here, unlock your lower body if it's getting locked up. Exhale, bring your hand back. Uncross your leg if it's in half lotus. Push into the foot. Roll back to your chest. Actually, let's stay rolled onto your side. Stack the feet like you're in a side plank. Try to push into the hand. Roll your shoulder back off the mat. Bend the elbow. And then roll it back into the mat. Or you can go back to the beginning where hips were flat and roll the shoulder back and forth there. Just feel the blood back in there. Roll back and forth. Keeping the elbow flat. Whatever makes you feel good. All right. Slowly bring that arm in. Take that hand, bring it out to the side, palm facing the ceiling. Bring the back of the hand onto either the small of your back, or if you can get it higher, bring it higher. And then try to turn the head away from that. Drop the elbow down into the mat. So, elbow up, drop it all the way down to the mat. Try to keep the fingers opening into the back. Breathe. When you inhale here, you can bring the other arm forward if it helps you. That hits the mic too close to me, so I'm going to bring my arm back. When you inhale, if your arm's back, you can dig through elbow. If your arm's forward, you can press through hand and lat. But either way, try to feel your ribs and feel the hand that's on the back get pushed up a little bit. Push your feet, we're going to touch into the mat. And then exhale, soften your ribs back down. Low belly drawing in. 2 more like that. Inhale. And exhale, soften. Good. Make a fist with the hand that's on your back. Open it back up. One more time, make a fist. Good. And slide the hand off the back. Bring your arm out in front and make your way back to Sphinx. Good. Elbows flat. Roll the shoulders back, chin in, head forward. Let the weight of the head drop forward as you roll the shoulders back away from that. If you feel any crunch in your low back, roll pubic bone into the floor a little bit. Low belly sucks in and across. Inhale, and then exhale, release. Roll your heels out to the side, and then roll them all the way in. Try to make them touch. Just feel that movement in the front of the hips. Roll the heels all the way out. Roll them all the way and try to make them touch. If you feel anything in your low back, bring the body a little further forward. You can even come down and forehead on the hands. Roll the heels out. Roll them back in. And good. Let's go ahead and come up onto the hands and knees. Knees wide. Sit back before we go to the second side. Arms out in front. Before you sit back all the way, reach as far forward as you can. Drop down into that chest stretch we were doing earlier. Not on the block, so it's not as extreme, but try to think about dropping the chest to the mat, not the forehead. If you put the forehead there, it kind of limits your stretch. Lift the head up, drop your chest, and drag the hips back. Feel like your knees are pulling the mat forward, low belly maybe drawing under a little. Just pull your lats. Shoulder blades are coming kind of apart, because you still want to feel like your hands are sliding the mat apart, but they're getting pulled off the back, upward. And then pull your shoulders down out of your ears. Walk the arms back until you have room to sit all the way back. Maybe tuck the chin in. Put your hands back if you want to just get that out of there. For some people, this causes them to crunch the neck a little bit. Try to stay rolled forward on your forehead. Heels hug in toward you, toes open into the mat. Maybe knees groin hugging a little bit. Low belly lifting. Inhale. And exhale, bring it back forward. Drag it up. Okay, let's go for the second side. Come back onto your belly. Okay, bring that right hand out to the right. Try to start out with it right in line with the shoulder. Left elbow can be about even with the chest, or if you feel like you can support yourself without beating your neck at all. Turn the head, put the temple of the head forward and diagonally away from the shoulder as far as you can on the mat. Roll your shoulder head forward, tap the mat. And then roll it back down the body. Maybe a little bend in the elbow. Pulling back. Definitely hand flat on the mat. Roll the shoulder head forward. Both shoulder heads roll back now. Roll the shoulder head forward. And then roll both shoulder heads back. Try to make a stretch even in the chest and collarbone. As that elbow bends a little, drag back through your hand, grab the neck. Roll the shoulder head forward. Roll it back, bend elbow, pull the mat to you a little bit. Stretch the chest and the front of the shoulder and neck. Last one, roll the shoulder head forward, keep it there. Okay, I'm going to roll up onto that right hip now. See if I can move it out of the way. Roll up onto the right hip, stack the hips. Okay. Try to keep the hand level with the shoulder, or you can even take it higher, much bigger stretch, but at least level with the shoulder. If it's too much, you actually can take it lower, but make sure you actually do feel a stretch there. Okay, keep the other hand in front of you. You can 10 fingers, roll over. Top leg can bend and put your foot on the floor flat right behind the front leg. If you can, put the heel in and turn the toes back a little bit. That's great. Maybe you can bring the hip forward, ribs a little further forward, and then crown the head forward and down. Okay. You can tent the front fingers or put the hand flat, and you're just softly pushing back into the stretch. When you inhale, push back out of the stretch enough and pull your ribs a little into the body enough to let your thoracic cavity expand, ribs expand. Inhale. Exhale, soften back into the stretch. Gotta soften the muscles in the back and the middle back to let the shoulder blades slide onto the back. If all these muscles stay connected and stay stuck, you're not gonna get that feeling. Okay, 2 more breaths here. Inhale, press out of the stretch a little bit, maybe roll the shoulder back. Exhale, roll back into the stretch. Okay, if you can go further, maybe grab the ankle, pull the leg across into a half lotus, and definitely wherever you are, try to let the hips release away from the ribs. Make space between the ribs and the hips. Let this hang. If you feel like your hips are really holding, tucking or pulling in because of the stretch, lessen the stretch. Support it with your foot further back. Maybe you're at the point where you can't even roll over, you need the foot in front or leverage to push back. Just respect your body, respect your limits. All right, here we go. Inhale, press out of it a little bit. Exhale, try to let the hip hang back into it. One more, inhale, press the hand out of the stretch a little, ribs fill. Exhale, soften. Reach through the bottom heel or the inner foot. Try to get long on that bottom side. You're really stretched. Maybe you can lift the ribs off the mat a little bit. Maybe you can lift the head up, pull both shoulders back, get longer. And wherever you're at now, lift the head up, pull the shoulders back, lift the top arm up, drop it back behind you. Chin in, reach the top of the head, crown of the head forward, roll the shoulders back. Scapula coming together on the back and then trying to draw down the back. May push you out of the stretch a little bit, and then you can hang back into it. Try to keep the neck stretch. Breathe. And bring the hand back. Start rolling out of it. Let's stay with hip stack. Maybe you want to support with the foot either behind or in front of. Maybe you want to put the head on the floor. Roll the shoulder head back, and then roll it back into the mat. If you're over it, you're ready to come further out of it, come all the way down to the chest to do this. Roll the shoulder head back, roll it into the mat. Wherever you are, let's do about 5 more of those. Roll the shoulder head back. You can keep head turned, crown of the head. Temple of the head on the floor. Roll the shoulder head forward. 2 more. Roll it back. And roll it all the way forward. Last one. Roll it back. Roll it forward. Good. Bring the hand so palm faces up. Bring it to the small of the back. Maybe it's all the way down on the tailbone or sacrum. The higher you bring the hand, the bigger the stretch. Bring it up as high as you can, somewhat comfortably at least, and then drop the elbow down to the mat. Keep the hand opening onto the back. You can stretch the other arm out in front of you to create some space inside of the body. Inhale, fill your ribs up. Feel the hand get raised up by the ribs expanding. Hold the air in for a second. Soften shoulders out of your ears and then exhale. One more like that. Inhale. And exhale. Bring your hand off the mat, off the back, excuse me. Bring it all the way around in front of you and make your way back to that Sphinx position. Okay. Let's roll the heels out again. And then try to roll them all the way in. Roll the shoulders back, chin in, neck very long. And then see if you can push down through elbows, lift the chest and collarbone up a little without pulling ribs off the mat, crunching your lower back. Let the ribs hang. Let's roll right shoulder a little further back and drag ribs forward out of hips. Release that. Roll left shoulder a little further back, feel your lat, release left hip, drag ribs forward. And then roll both shoulders back, drag ribs forward. Feel a little like you're pulling the mat back with elbows. And then let's go ahead and release. Hand over hand, one straight line from elbow to elbow, forehead on the hands. Draw your pubic bone into the mat, maybe pull a little bit with your low belly. See if you can press down through elbows and lats. Lift the ribs into the body off the mat. Inhale. Exhale, drop it back down. Shoulders out of your ears, release everything. Good. Come to hands and knees. Open up the knees. Sit all the way down. And then bring it back forward. All right, we're going to do a quick little strength move to see if the side body is kind of awake and alive. And come down to the forearms. Take the right foot, tuck the toes, roll onto the inner arch of the foot. Okay, you're going to stack hips right on top of the left. Then, keeping that, try to roll a little to the outer foot, maybe put the sole of the foot fairly flat, then bring the left foot back, outer edge of the foot, try to roll the inner arch longer. Tent the right fingers, open hips up. Now, if you're used to doing plank, all it is back foot in front, or top leg in front. If you're already used to doing side plank, you can stack the feet up, line up inner arches, inner heel, toes. Reach the inner foot, lift the outer foot back to you, and bring the top arm up. If you can't bring the top arm up, that's fine. Keep it flat. If you can't do that with the feet, keep the back foot forward. Either way, drop that bottom hip, tap the mat. You don't even have to touch. Pick it back up, arcing the bottom. See if you can lace the arm underneath, twist the body a little. Bring it all the way back up. Tap the hip. Or set it down, pick it up. Balance is easier with feet staggered. Good. One more. Stagger the feet for the last one, even if you haven't. Maybe just try it. And roll the hips under. You get a lot more range of motion. Bring it back up. Good. And then bring the elbow down to the mat. Twist the feet. Bring the knees down. Okay. If that's too much, you can even just have the hips down and just play with moving back and forth in that shoulder girdle and your serratus on that side. Okay. Second side. Left elbow flat on the mat. Tuck the left toes. Roll to the inner foot. Bring the right foot back. Outer edge placed on the mat and then inner foot lock. Tent the left fingers. Okay, try to line up your feet in one straight line, or you can stack the feet up and bring the top arm up. Don't let the top hip hang back too far. Okay, that's the tendency to open the hips. That's why the back foot, top leg is forward. If you are going to stagger the feet, keep that hip forward. Okay? Drop the hips down a little. You're going to tap the floor. Pick it up. Try to engage all these muscles. Lace the arm underneath. Shoulders out of the ears. Roll it back open. Reach the hand up. Tap the hip down. Pick it back up. Arm underneath. Bring it back up. Good. Stack feet if you want. Tap the hip down. Pick it back up. Arm underneath. Roll it over. Bring it back up. And bring the hand to the mat. And just come to the knees. Knees wide. Okay, let's just go back through a couple serratus push-ups. See if the sides are any more awake. Drop the chest down. Into the shoulder girdle. Chin in. Collarbone's pretty collapsed here. Now press into hands to bring up the collarbone, head and neck. Hands wide, elbows wide. Bring the ribs up. Feel your knees spread across the mat, low belly spreading. Find a neutral spine. Now only chest and serrated, only chest is going to move really. Rib cage. Drop the chest down. Hands wide, elbows wide, bring it up. Two more, drop it down. Hands wide, elbows wide, bring it up. Last one, drop it down. Hands wide, elbows wide, knees wide, bring it up. Pubic bone draws under, low belly in, middle abs in, chin in, keep shoulders back, ribs lift up. And start sitting back toward the heels with this rounded spine. Feel like your knees are pulling toward elbows, low belly's drawn in. Let your shoulder blades come off the back. And then just sit all the way back. If you have to hinge the elbows back, go ahead, but stay long. One more big back here. under our knees. Inhales in, low belly sucking up, ribs up, and then draw back forward. Good. All right, so done some shoulder opening. We're going to do a little more shoulder opening. Turn it over. And then we're going to go to hips. Fingers facing forward, hands back behind you. Feet flat on the mat, about hip width apart. Draw hips forward, tailbone under a little bit. Roll your shoulder heads forward. So that's the sort of front of the shoulder here. Try to roll that forward. Really spread the fingers across the mat. And we're going to stretch the wrists right now too. Press through the arms until you feel triceps engage. Back of the arm. Right? And then try to lift the base of the wrist off the ground a little bit. The base of the hand. So that you're really pushing through the knuckles of the hand. Roll the hand back down. Bend the elbows straight back. Shoulder heads rolling forward. Then widen your elbows. Like they're pulling out to the sides. Just spread the shoulder blades apart and let your sternum drop back deeper and deeper between the shoulder blades. Low belly in. Now your hands feel like they're scooping the mat forward a little bit as well as spinning it in to try to draw you out of your low back a little. Okay. Press through the hands until the arms are pretty straight. Feel that stretch in the base of the hand. Try to lift the base of the hand off the mat. Now we're going to try to find some mobility in the low belly pelvic bowl. Roll the pubic bone forward. Pelvic bowl rolls forward. Feet can feel like they're dragging the mat back to you to roll you to the front of the sitting bones. Then outer spiral the arms to open the chest. Push the mat away. Try to feel shoulder blades come together on the back and also down the spine. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, start with the feet. Feel like you're pushing the mat forward softly. Low belly draws in, draw pubic bone under, or forward and up, I guess it is, hollowing out the low back. Then middle abs, then shoulder heads roll forward, then elbows wide, chin in. Feel like you're rolling into yourself, trying to open up the upper back so that the spine can drop a little deeper. Low belly in. Inhale here. Exhale, try to slide the elbows horizontally to the right. Feel like that right hand is pulling the mat under you. Right elbow forward, right shoulder head forward. Lengthen out the right leg, outer spiral in. Okay, start a baby twist, straighten left arm a little bit. Roll the right shoulder back and down. And then roll it forward. One more like that. Roll the right shoulder back and down. And then roll it forward. Put back to the middle, bend the leg. Straighten the left leg out. Slide across to the left. Try to keep that left hip released. Don't tighten. Roll the shoulder head forward. Roll it back, little twist. Straighten the right arm a little bit. Stay here. Roll shoulder head forward. Roll it back. Find a lot of length in the core. Roll the shoulder head forward. Roll it back and down. Find a lot of length in the core. Bring it back to the center. Tent both knees. Press through the arms. Good. Outer spiral. Roll forward on the sitting bones. Open the chest. Keeping this posture, come out of the lower back bend a little by drawing the low belly in. So just roll a little back on the sitting bones. So you have a little upper back bend with your low back protected. And then press into the hands. Bring it up. If this is too much, don't bother with this part. Low belly in, reach knees in and forward, chin in. Try to roll shoulder heads forward here, and then roll back. One more, roll shoulder heads forward, roll back, push the mat away, chin in, ribs in the body. See if you can swing the hips back. That may be easier with your blocks if you're new to it. Do the same thing, hands on the blocks, pinky and thumb straddle your block. Legs out in front. Straighten your arms, shoulders will eat your ears, which is good because then you have room to pull the lats down and pick the hips up. And then roll forward, open chest. And then roll back through the blocks. Set it down. Either way. On the floor or on your blocks. All right, last one for your shoulders. Turn the hands backward. Hands and wrists are going to get a stretch here as well. Bend the elbows straight back. Roll the shoulder heads forward. Lift up to the tailbone under a little so your low back is free and loose. Keeping the shoulder heads forward, chin in. You're going to bend the elbows as much as you can without hurting yourself. You'll feel the stretch in the hand and wrist pretty early. Keep elbows wide. Don't let them collapse in right now. We are going to go there in a minute. It's a different stretch. Inhale here, low belly in, chin in, shoulder heads forward. Exhale, push through the hands until they're straight. Bring the shoulders to the ears, then roll them back and down. Pulling the scapula down the spine. Roll sitting bones, roll pelvic bowl forward on the sitting bones. Open the chest. Bend your elbows in toward each other now, trying to bring your scapula together. Chin in still. And then softly draw low belly so you come out of that lower back bend, so you just have the upper back bend. Inhale here. Exhale, re-straighten the arms. Low belly draws in, roll hips under, shoulder head forward with straight arms. Chin in. Then start bending the elbows back into that hand and a stretch. And it's a shoulder stretch too. Don't miss that. If it's not enough for you, you can go to wide diamond in the legs and drop the knees over. And the shoulder heads forward, chin in. Press through the arms until they're straight. Outer spiral the arms. Keep the triceps engaged, biceps trying to face out. Open the chest, low belly, and roll the pelvic bowl forward. So you're coming forward on the sitting bones. Keep that shoulder blades coming together, lifting the ribs up. And low belly helps suck the ribs up higher. Chin in, inhale. Exhale, release the upper back bend a little bit, just enough to help you roll pubic bone forward, tailbone under. Shoulder heads come forward, elbows bend back, chin in. Feel like you're dragging the mat back to your hips to pull yourself out of your low back. Inhale. Exhale, soft hips. Good, and press all the way up. Roll forward on the hips. Outer spiral arms, bring elbows toward each other, shoulder blades together. Lift the ribs up and over the shoulder girdle. And press to straighter arms. Bring the knees in if they were open. Walk the hands forward and just hug the legs or hold opposite wrists behind the thighs. So heels together, toes apart with the feet, and try to just hang back a little bit, chin in. Knees open into the arms. So try to pull your shoulder blades wide. Keep shoulders out of the ears, chin in. Inhale. Exhale, low belly draws in a little. Shoulders soften away from the ears. Good, and roll it all the way up. Legs come together, and let's come back to the elbows and knees. Okay, so shoulders are pretty done, side body pretty awake, right? We're gonna get a little bit more hips, both the front of the hips and the outer hip. So let's start out by bringing right leg forward, tuck the left toes, drag the knee back a little bit, and just try to come forward into a low lunge, stretching the front of that left hip, roll over the toes. Try to find enough room here to drop down into your shoulder girdle and back up. If you can't, you probably need blocks. You need a little less stretch. You can either be on first level, second level, or third level. All the way up to third level is fine. Maybe your hips are a little further back and you're working toward dropping the hips forward. Definitely should have room to move through the shoulder girdle. Breathe, inhale. Exhale, long and even. One more breath, inhale. Exhale, try to drop the chest a little lower. Turn the toes out and bring the hands across. So you're going to have the right hand outside the right foot but in front of the knee. Okay, no blocks for this. Left hand is wide. Try to bend your elbows, plug the knee and hip back. If you're pushing back with the elbow, drag the chest forward. Think of the belly button coming toward the heel. Maybe that's too much. Maybe you're back here. Maybe you can come elbows to the ground here. Instead of pulling it open and bringing the chest toward the leg, up to you. If this is easy, tuck the toes, reach the back leg back, put some extra body weight into it. Wherever you are, elbows pull back from lats, chest forward, stay long in the corner. Inhale. Exhale, keep dropping into that hip. One more breath. Okay. Press into the arms, put the leg down. Hands out in front of you on the mat. Heel toe to foot across. Lay the knee down. Tuck the left toes, hands right under your shoulders. Find a plank position on the left side of the body. Bring the toes back so you're one straight line from knee to toes. Have the knee outside the hip. So we stretch the front of the left hip, now we're doing outer right hip and front of the left hip at the same time. I want you to feel like you're rolling that left frontal hip point into the right groin. Really drop that hip under you, then reach back through the heel. And push forward. Do it again. Roll that left frontal hip point into the right groin, then reach back through the heel. Good. Push forward. Last time, really drop left front hip point into right groin. Then reach back through the heel. Hold here. I'll try to do the little serratus push-ups. Bring the ribs into the body. And then flatten it back out. Open the chest. Come a little deeper into the hips. One more time. Roll ribs in and up. Push the mat away. Flatten it back out. Maybe you can wiggle that foot a little further back. If it's too much of a stretch, you can always bring the foot back toward the hip all the way across. Or you can sit on one or two of the bolsters under the hips all the way across. Don't sit on a block and sit off to the side. You're just going to avoid the stretch entirely. Okay. Wherever you are, try to slide the leg back into the deepest pose you can find without any pain. Shouldn't feel bad, and bring your elbows to the mat. Elbow right in front of the knee. Drag shoulders back, chest forward. Okay, maybe you can plug the knee back by putting elbow against the knee. Drag lats back to plug the hip, right hip back. I feel like you're drawing left hip forward. Inhale, long and even. Exhale, shoulders back, chin in like you're leaning the rib cage forward past the shin. Drop right shoulder back a little. See if you can reach that left elbow forward. Feel like you're dragging your left frontal hip point into that right heel. Left side coming forward, right side coming back. Here. Now bring both elbows forward a little. Bring the ribs up into the body. Keep the hips still. Inhale here. Hands wide, elbows wide. Exhale, drag the mat back. Bring the low abs forward. Floating arms forward. Drop back down into the shoulder girdle. It's almost a circular motion. Do it again. Inhale, ribs up. Drop forward. Exhale, come back down into the shoulder girdle. Do it again. Ribs in the body. Inhale. Hold back. Open chest. Drop back down. Exhale. Good. Stay at your deepest level. Chin in. You want to reach the arms all the way out, or even just the left arm all the way out and lay on the bicep. Or reach both arms all the way out. But make sure that left side's staying long. Right hip's almost trying to pull back. Deeper. Breathe. To go even further, you can bend that back leg, come onto elbow or hand on the other side and reach back for the ankle, outer spiral the arm, roll the chest open, try to let that left side hang into the mat a little bit and roll the right hip back. Breathe. Either way, opening the chest. Release the leg, pat it, come back to hands under shoulders. Tuck the back toes, you may need to walk the knee forward a little bit. Come into plank on the left side. Roll your hip open a little. That would kind of be cheating coming out of the stretch. Roll it back in. Think of your left frontal hip point literally trying to roll into that front groin, like your hips are going to face the other way. One more time, roll open a little. Bring it all the way back in, reach back, open the chest. All right, and let's come all the way out of it. Hips up, ribs in the body. You can just put that back knee down and walk the front leg back, or pressing into your plank, ribs in the body, step back into plank, and maybe try and check out your down dog now. Sitting bones reach back and apart. Those are the bones right at the base of the buttocks. If they're closed, you're more here, right? So you'll let the hips open. Feel like you're rolling to the inner foot and splitting the mat apart. Feet trying to pull wide to help open the hips. Now that's going to engage your outer hips. Don't do that too hard. But it should open up the front of the hips to let your pelvic roll drop. Start letting the chest drop. Everybody bend the knees. If you can keep the heels flat, fine. If not, let your heels rise. Come forward out of your down dog a little. Outer spiral the arms. Drop down into the shoulder girdle, chin in. Now you've got a neck long, hopefully a neck stretch. And then start dropping the chest back toward the thighs. Just keep the lats. Now start trying to re-straighten maybe one leg at a time, maybe both, without rounding and pulling you out of that. So you're going to reach the heels a little, but keep the chest drop back into that shoulder girdle, chin in. Now if you're really deep in your shoulder stretches, you can just drop the ribs all the way out. Now it's time to bring the ribs back up into the body. Keep plugging the shoulders back. Feel like your hands are spreading the mat, chin in. Elbows roll back in toward each other, ribs in the body. Inner spiral legs, feel inner foot ground. Pinky toe spreads across on your mat. Feel the pinky side of the foot to the inner heel, and the index knuckle of the foot to the outer heel. One more breath here. over the knees, come on down. Grab your blocks again. Left foot outside the blocks. Okay. Bring your hips forward. So you can be on the third level. This would be second level. This would be third level. Obviously this is nothing. Wherever you are, you need to be able to move through your shoulder girdle. Which if your hips are too tight trying to pull you out of the stretch, just stop. It's not going to happen. That means you need to go up, up, up on your blocks. Okay, so drop into this hip stretch. Inhale. Exhale, open the chest. Try to drop down into the shoulder girdle a little bit more. Inhale again. Exhale, open the chest. Chin in. Let's tuck the toes. Just feel what it feels like. Push through the back leg. You can also do footwork in almost any of the lunging postures, like reaching the heel back and then pressing forward, really bending the toes. Reach the heel back and get really strong with this. You can roll all the way over the toes and then roll all the way back. You want to wake up the feet too. Hands and feet, big part of the practice. Okay, maybe just rolling back and forth in the foot is enough to wake up the feet, but you want to counter push by using lats to bring shoulders back. Push down through the hands. Keep that little bit of chest opening. Middle abs, the abs in here, stay drawn in. And when you reach back through the heel, it's almost like hands are pushing the mat forward. Left heel can dig into the mat to push it forward. Then when you go to push forward through the toes, keep resisting that so you really feel the foot work. All right, so that's a really good way to wake up the foot as well. All right, let's bring that knee back down to the mat. Get your blocks out of the way if you're using them. Turn left toes out about 45 degrees. Walk the hands over. Left hand goes outside the foot, but the arm is in front of the knee. Right? So what do I mean by that? The same thing we did on the other side. Outside the foot with the elbow pinning the knee back. Right? And you can move the right knee over a little toward the left. You can roll to the outer foot to open the hip, but then the inner foot's going to reach a little back down. We'll just let the foot die here. Drop the chest or belly button down toward the heel. Open the chest, shoulders back, neck getting long. If you want to add, you can lift that back leg up. Put your body weight into the stretch. Wherever you are, pull the shoulders back. Inhale. Exhale, chest long. One more. Inhale. Exhale, reach it forward. Good. Drop the knee if it's in the air. Press up. Bring your hands a little forward. Heel toe the foot across. Lay the knee down. Shin can be parallel to the top and bottom of the mat here, hopefully, or you can keep dropping the foot back, lessening stretch, lessening stretch, lessening stretch, so it's pretty much gone. You can still get a little hip stretch here by rolling the other hip down, but as long as the foot's a little across the midline, you're going to get some outer hip stretch. Okay. Right now, while we're in the air, wherever you would normally be able to lay down into your pigeon, try to have it a little further forward than that, and then straighten the back leg into your plank. Okay. Hands pretty much under the shoulders. Wiggle that foot back further if you need to, and reach through the heel. This is another good chance to do your footwork if you want to do it here. Roll the right frontal hip point in, like you're going to try to put the front of the hip into that left groin a little bit, then reach back through the heel. Can't sickle the foot when you do that. Right, keep this honest. Push forward. Roll the right frontal hip point in toward left groin. Reach back through the heel, deepening the stretch. Hold. Now ribs in the bottom. Shoulders out of the ears. Maybe you have to bend the back knee a little. Mine's not quite touching the ground. Low belly with the pants. Low belly in. Try to draw the pelvic bowl back, tailbone under. Inhale here. Open up the ribs. Exhale. Open the chest. Draw forward. Reach the heel back a little bit deeper. Maybe you can sit down between the groin muscles a little deeper. One more time. Ribs in the body. Low belly in. Drop that tailbone under. Chin in, shoulders back. Inhale. Exhale, open the chest, left frontal hip point into right groin. Reach the heel back and then set it down. Wherever your deepest level is, bring your arms forward. Elbow into the knee. Pick the ribs up into the body. Elbows wide, hands wide. Press down through the hands to bring collarbone wide. And split the hands apart. Inhale here. Exhale, drag forward and then down. So circular motion, do it again. Press through hands, press through elbows, ribs in the body. Hands wide, elbows wide. Inhale. Exhale, drive forward, the belly even helps draw out of the hips, and then back down into the shoulder girdle. Gotta get deeper each time. One more. Inhale, ribs in the body, hands wide, elbows wide. Exhale, drag forward. Good. Maybe you can put the elbow into the knee as you're dragging elbows back with your lats. The serratus kind of pulling down the sides of the body. The elbow pins the knee back, pins the hip back. You can even put that left shoulder forward, a little right shoulder back to put the right frontal hip point into that left heel. Or you can square it off, or you can reach that left arm out, lay on the bicep, or you can reach both arms out, forehead on the mat. Wherever you feel like you can get some release out of that stretched hip instead of tightening against the stretch. Find a softening. And don't go too deep or you'll never release. Inhale. Exhale, long and even. Trying to hug left hip back, right hip forward. If you want to go further, and not a bad idea if you did so on the other side, bend that right leg, either elbow or hand, and then reach back for the ankle. Outer spiral, both arms so your biceps face forward. Shoulder blades come together, back and down. It's actually deeper if you let the elbow drop. Lean back a little bit into that stretch and let the hip, the pigeon hip, come back a little bit behind you. Inhale here, soften the bottom side, kind of let it hang into the stretch without collapsing shoulders here. Two more. Stir the heels to deepen it and let it go. Bring it back, hands under shoulders, tuck the toes, press through the back leg. Maybe you got to inch that knee forward a little. Find your plank, shoulders out of the ears, ribs in the body. Either step back to plank and then press back toward down dog. Don't go all the way back. Feet hip width. You can reach the heels for the mat if it doesn't put you here. If this is going to happen, forget the lower leg stretching so much. Bend the knees, let your heels rise. Get your sitting bones back and apart more. Drop the chest back a little. Outer spiral of the arms. Come back forward if you need to in order to drop down into the shoulder girdle, chin in. Okay, you should be able to bend the elbows down to the mat and hug them in toward each other, feeling your lats the entire time if you're in the right shape. Then straighten out the arms. Maybe you can straighten out the legs. If you're really hanging into the shoulder girdle, you don't want to collapse in the joint, then you start bringing ribs back into the body again. For most people, that's not a problem. They're not overly in an upper back bend. For most people, they're stuck somewhere up here. And you should be working on trying to drop into the shoulder girdle. I don't care if you have to be all the way here in your down dog to come forward and drop down. All right, wherever you can find your down dog, let's just take 3 nice breaths. Chin in, inhale. Exhale, drop the shoulders away from the ears. Outer spiral of the arms. Ribs in the body, if that's you. Low belly drawing in. Roll into the inner foot. Feel like you're spreading the mat apart with the feet a little. And then soften that enough to release your outer hips. Feel like you're spreading the mat apart with the hands to spread across collarbone, chin in. And then outer spiral almost feels like elbows are rolling back in as biceps face the ceiling. Then you can start drawing ribs back a little bit. Reaching through thumb and index knuckle if you're open enough in the shoulders. Wherever you are, one more breath. And roll over the knees. Knees wide. Arms out in front. Sit all the way back. Not straight down to a wide leg child's pose, but enough to touch the chest. Good hips long, and up here, our shoulders come to ears. One breath here, ribs in the body. Inhale. Exhale, drop it down, walk it back. Chin in. And walk it all the way up. Good. All right, so we didn't do hands facing forward, but the other sort of thing to do to open up the hands is turn either one or both hands backward, roll back and forth, bending knuckles back through the pinky side of the hand, really good hand stretch. Keeping hands turned out, doing the serratus push-ups here will help people learn how to get that bicep turned out away from the chest, rolling the shoulder back, chin in, that type of movement. right? So that's the other way to go. We did the hand stretches more back here, right? But so down dog is really everything. It's hands, feet, shoulders, hips, front of the shoulder, back of the shoulder, chest, right? If you can't move through the hips, if you can't move through the serratus, you're really not going to be able to make a shape yet. And if your shape looks like that, I guess it would be usually more like that, so up, then it kind of shouldn't be there yet. You should be doing all those other prep exercises we did first. You have any questions? No? No? You feel how the down dog felt a little easier at the end of the sequence than at the beginning? Yeah. After you ran. From there. Sorry. Okay. But then you get the point of the sequence. You analyze the posture you're going for. What's getting stretched? What's getting worked? What needs to be sort of awakened? Strength movements, right? Like side plank. This is strength. This is not stretching the side of the body. You're actually purposely shortening and really engaging. But it's hard enough, if they can do it, to engage a lot of extra muscles because you kind of need everything to hold yourself there. If you're not strong enough to do it yet, the alternative is just keep the hips flat and do something smaller. You're still getting movement, you're still using those muscles. So you want to go back and forth between strength to wake up the muscles, get everything kind of alive, blood flowing, and then stretching, right? And you want to do that as much as you can in the different areas. If we had more time, I probably would have spent a little more time on hips. But I think for most people, finding the upper body and dropping into the shoulder girdle is the hardest thing about down dog.
Yeah, I remember the first time I asked him to do serratus, I'm like, what? Where?
Where am I
Do
serratus?
it.
Yeah. And the big thing is when you're using that transition, like say you're going to go from here through your chaturanga to up dog, it can be really smooth if the chest is open. But if you're going from neck and shoulders, and you're trying to bend the elbows and come down, they want to bend out. They don't want to bend back. And if they're going to bend back through your neck, it's not smooth, you're going to crash. And then you have to kind of crawl through. If you come forward the whole time with the chest open, that upper back bend heart opener, I mean, you can almost just roll right over and go straight through without even stopping at your chaturanga, right? When the shoulders and chest are closed, it's really hard. You've got to make a bunch of weird little adjustments to try to get through there. Right, as opposed to if the heart's already open, then it makes sense to flow through that, and it works, right? Yeah, but you're doing it. Good. Now keep the wide collarbone. There you go. Don't let your shoulder heads roll forward right there. You feel that?
Yeah.
Right here as you're dropping down, the shoulder heads roll forward and close you out. They've got to stay open so you can roll through it more. Right. Part of this, feel the neck. As soon as you're here with shoulder heads rolled forward, you're stuck. You're trying to come past a little wall those muscles are making when they pull together like that. Instead of where you want to end up is this really, kind of sphinx-like, or if you start out learning more of a cobra where you're pulling the heart through this way. It looks like a pretty sharp angle in the low back, but low back is totally released. That's the heart opening you're coming toward. You don't want to come toward this from here.
Right.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
So is it
the neck?
Is it because my chest is tight? Is that why my shoulders are rolling forward?
It's strength here.
Yeah, because I
It's
feel like
tightness.
this can't open, but it's coming from here.
It's both. It's both. This needs to open more. So you could open the chest too, doing the T blocks, right? Do this for a little heart opening. Before you go into it, we kind of did it with the opening the chest this way and rolling through the shoulders. But if you want a supported posture, you can lay them on the blocks. It's also a nice neck stretch. And you want to have the block pretty close to the nape of the neck between the shoulder blades. This is also a really good way if you drop the shoulders down. You can feel your lat, or your scapula wrap around the block if it's on second level, which is nice, if they can handle second level. If not, maybe they need to be on a rolled up blanket, sandbag, if you've got the big sandbags like we have here, right? And also try to block on the third level under the head with the arms overhead, and just let that kind of stretch your neck a little bit too. All right, that feels pretty good, gives you that heart opening. And then you want to keep hips under you, so your low back's long, so you can soften your low body. Maybe you can start opening that way, reaching the arms out long, whatever works. You can play with the ribs, kind of working, arms dropping back and forth too. You feel that? So try third level with your block now. It's kind of the opposite of what most people do. But yeah, then drop the arms back. Feel that neck stretch here. That's part of what really needs to open. Feel that? That's good, right? You tried third level earlier in class today. Yeah, letting the arms. Yeah, do you feel the stretch here?
Yeah.
You could bring your tailbone under you a touch more, just a touch, and then just, yeah. Okay. Feel how that. So now you have your upper back bend with your low back more protected and flatter.
Yeah.
As opposed to roll forward on your sitting bones, that's arcing, but that's going to hurt your low back.
Yeah, it's
right?
tightening my back.
Yeah,
So
it's
you feel
locking
those
you out.
corners along.
Yeah. Yo, the corners of the blocks, yeah. That's good. Let's see if the tape's still even rolling. Which I would love for it to be, and it is. Okay, so this is another really good way to do the heart opener. So just when you're setting it up, so if you're not going to use the block, the other thing is the big bean bag. This is a 10-pound bean bag, or the pranayama pillow. Those are softer, especially if you have a client who's not as open. Okay, pranayama pillow. The problem is you're going to have to use another pranayama pillow or a bean bag for the neck because it's so long. But you could do the same thing. Put it up kind of at the base of the ribs, way back over that between your shoulder blades, and then either put another pranayama pillow or whatever. So just a lot less, right? But you can still kind of drop the shoulder blades around it, drop the arms back. Still feels good. Okay? It's just not as deep. The blocks are like, hello, wake up, we're here. Okay, the other one for teaching pigeon prep or just learning pigeon prep, this one, right? Which I mentioned when we were doing this, as you pull the leg back, so I guess I'll face this way. As you pull the leg back from parallel to the top of the mat, hip rolling under, into you, it's less and less and less of a hip stretch, right? Or more and more and more tolerable if the person's not liking that, right? And this is outer hip for this hip. It's the front of the hip for the back hip, unless you hang out over here. Most studios say if your hip's in the air, or a lot of places, I don't know, a lot of places will say prop up this hip. Well, that's teaching you to kind of sit out of the stretch and you're never really getting back. If you kind of hang off the block, it works, but it's just really awkward. It doesn't really, I don't like it. So what I was talking about with the bolsters, one or two, or pillows, or just whatever you have at home. If you have a bolster, right, and lots of ways to come into this, this little client who has one leg that's not as happy as the other one to help, and she'll just either kneel behind it, step over, heel toe across, hold onto the block and put the hand on the floor, sit first, and then work this leg back. Bring the leg across though, so the knee is outside the hip. You don't want the leg way over here. That encourages that sitting out of the stretch. So bring the knee across. You can tuck the heel under if you need to, and then this hip can start rolling under. And then maybe they can come down to elbows. Maybe they can push in the plank on this side that you can learn to roll that hip under and get your hips really square. You can even come all the way up onto two. And the other way, especially if you have two to get into it. So this is maybe you just sit down, right? I like that. Depends on where they're at. And then kneel behind it, or they can kneel this way, whatever. Drop the leg across, heel in, and maybe this is where they're at. Hands can come down, or you can use blocks if they need blocks to be higher, right? And then reach through the back leg here, and you can really roll the hip under so the hips are fully square. You can flex the foot, and then you start feeling it there. Play with the footwork, right? Almost anyone, a lot of people can do this. The other thing we do, since we have the equipment, and I guess I'll show that from the front. So if you're going to do bolster, and on the floor, lay the leg down, knee outside the hip, right? And then the back hip can start rolling under, maybe even behind the bolster, and you just come down to elbows, prop it up, whatever, play with that ribs back and forth and all that. But then your hips can start to actually square off and be level instead of the one block, which is, you're kind of never going to get there. And a lot of clients say, we only did it that way for years and never got deeper. So that's really helpful. So, what else do we do? I think the rolling out of the arms is also really hard for a lot of people to feel. So this one that I kind of ran through, turning one hand backward, is good for that. It's a hand stretch and a stretch too. But outer spiraling the arm when the wrist is backward is easier. And then the tricep under the arm, pushing the bicep out away from the chest, rolling the shoulder back. And then drop down into the shoulder girdle from there. Some people may find their serratus push-ups easier here, just because it starts opening the chest out of your way. Whereas most people, problem is, they're closed in here too much, like a little bulldog, right? And you can roll in and roll back out. Sometimes shortening the muscle you're trying to open first, then roll out of it, right, will help. But this way, doing your serratus push-ups this way, and they have to have mobility, they have to be able to bend elbows. Right, there are arm balances this way, right, where you kind of wrap around. Right, but you have to be able to have the ability to bend your elbows and move through your shoulder girdle. The further forward your hands, the bigger the stretch, because this angle is becoming more acute. So if they're up here and they're stopped and they can't move the shoulders and they can't unlock their elbows, bring it back toward the legs. If it's a problem in the knee, sit on a bolster. Sit on two bolsters. I don't care how high you have to prop, and then do one hand at a time. Both hands, bring them back even closer to you so they're inside the knees. Right? Pretty much always modify so that you can work all the way around. But so that's a pretty hard posture if you're doing it right. But you get the idea of the sequencing. All right, any questions on anything there? Eventually.
Yeah.
One more thing to help with getting a little bit of separation between ribs and hips is doing the core work. So we've done a lot of the core work here. Okay, where we've played with either having a block between the legs all the way up to the pelvic floor, and then holding legs, dropping knees forward, inner heels, index knuckle touching, let the arms go straight. Or actually, we can start by hugging in. Use low belly to drop, pubic bone forward while pulling the knees back into you. So most people want to either do this, pull the whole hips up, or do this, whole hips forward like your leg starts from up here. And a lot of down dog is reaching pubic bone long, but knees back to you. So a good way to start teaching that too is have them interlace their fingers with a block between the legs, the shin right in the wrist. Fingers won't interlace like hands together, but you can here. Then let the knees open a little bit and practice pubic bone forward, shoulders back a little. And then see if maybe they can bring the head up without tucking the hips back up to them. Keep low belly drawing, pubic bone forward while they're pulling knees back to them. See if they can let go with hands. Keep pubic bone forward, low belly spreading, but knees back, which has a very different look. Maybe you have to support the head and neck while doing it. And maybe you can bring the feet up to parallel to the floor, learn to take the legs an inch forward without hardening between or lifting the ribs away, but keeping hips forward instead of tucking, where you have the gym abs scooching up. So that's an important thing to learn, because when you're under here, when you're really tight, hips want to roll under. You have to reach the hips back and knees kind of forward to create that really acute angle in the hips. The other ones we've done a lot of to help find that, right, is pulling one knee and the other leg out in front, reaching through both heels, letting the arms straighten, outer spiral the arms, and then feel a stretch in the front of the hip here. Lift the leg an inch off the floor. Chin to the chest. Keep the hips forward. Try to lengthen out of that hip. Maybe outer spiral the leg. Take it across the midline to feel that stretch. Bring it back, as opposed to letting hips tuck. And the weight of that leg dropping forward helps keep the pubic bone forward. And then you can maybe start to practice either bringing leg up or knee in without whole hips coming with it. And that's another good piece to get the core more awake and alive. And then we've also done the sequence where you drop the knee out to the side, roll your leg out, arm up, just to make sure that you can feel that stretch in there. first, and then go into the ab work too. So, beautiful ways to wake up the low belly. And that's most of it. That's pretty much it. We did a lot of it too, sitting back between the heels and rolling pelvic bowl back and forth this way, and rolling pelvic bowl back and forth with upper back bend, and then keeping upper back bend, tailbone under, trying to get the hips freed that way too. So that was kind of the way we did it in that sequence. But a million different ways to do it. You can spend a lot more time on core, you can spend a lot more time on your back, waking up the core muscles, right? I mean, what else? But it really is everything. Hands, feet, shoulders, chest, core, it's the whole deal. All right, so nothing right now, maybe questions later.
Yeah, sure.
You guys are good? Okay. All right, well, we are going to turn it off. If you want to rewatch it, try the sequence again, play with the sequence on your own, change it, add, take away. Anyone else who watched and did it with us, thanks.